Welcome to Tales from the Vault, where I'll be telling some really funny stories about my friends going through the Curse of Strahd. We've ran into some really, really funny situations, and some crazy stories have evolved from that. So this will be an opportunity for you guys to hear what happened. So this all starts as we've been playing Dungeons & Dragons for a while. And the entire time that we've been playing, I keep thinking I'd really like to take my friends through Ravenloft, which was a campaign that I played back in 1985. And it's more horror-based, and it deals with vampires and werewolves and mummies and basically everything that I enjoyed as a kid growing up watching black and white horror films, or even the Hammer films. And I thought it'd really be fun to take my friends through that. What I thought I was going to have to do is take that old campaign from 1985 and go through and convert it to 5e rules, which I was completely willing to do because I really wanted my friends to experience this awesome game. As soon as I did some quick research, I found that it had already been done a few years ago, retitled The Curse of Strahd. So, of course, I went right out, bought it, and went through it, and as I was looking at it, I realized that this particular campaign takes you from level 1 to level 9, and it's a very thick, heavy book. I didn't think that my friends were necessarily going to want to run 130, 150 sessions to get to the castle. So I fast-tracked them, and we went almost directly straight to the castle. The players were level 5 at that point. We did do a little bit of exploring in the town of Barovia before heading to Ravenloft, but that's for another story. So it's day 1 in the castle, and the adventurers have decided to explore the first floor, and they ran into some encounters and some creepy things, basically things to set the tone of the spooky castle. And it's raining outside, and there's lightning, and it's dark, and organs keep playing creepy, scary music. They decided they were going to go to the second floor to do some looking around. They enter a room which ends up belonging to the accountant, the guy that counts all of Strahd's money over the last 4 centuries that he's accumulated from unknowing PCs who slipped into the mist and turned up in Barovia and then the castle. In this room was a chest. Of course, there's always a chest that looks like a treasure chest. The PCs managed to open the chest, and inside was a ring with a big red ruby jewel in it, a sword that had been broken in half, and they saw that there was also a note in there. One of the players, my friend Michael O'Brien, who plays Oust, who is a high moon elf warlock, decided that he was going to reach into the chest and snatch up the ring and the sword and read the note. As soon as he reached his arm into the chest, his arm disappeared. When he pulled his arm back out, the arm was gone. Again, he could still feel it, and he could move his fingers, but it was just gone. So the smart thing to do, which he did in reverse, was then he took his 10-foot pole, poked it into the box, but could never touch the bottom of the chest. And when he pulled his 10-foot pole out, it was now an 8-foot pole. At this point, our half-orc barbarian, I know cliche, but he's a great guy and he plays the character very well. Our half-orc went over to the chest, picked it up, flipped it over, and started to shake it to see if he could get the things inside to fall out. Makes sense. Well, nothing fell out. As I'm sure you've realized by now, there's an illusion spell in the box. And those things don't really exist in there. But I'll let you in on a little secret. I decided very early on in the game that it would be funny to slip in a sphere of annihilation. If you don't already know what a sphere of annihilation is, it's a bad deal. The first time this little baddie showed up was in 1978 in the module called The Tomb of Horrors. And this is what it looked like. So the sphere of annihilation, it's a 2-foot diameter black sphere approximately in size. It's basically a hole in the multiverse. and it just sort of hovers in space. What is supposed to happen, the sphere obliterates all matter that it passes through or all matter that passes through it. It's just gone. What I thought was going to happen was now this character will have some disadvantage. He's missing an arm he's not going to get back. I really wanted to instill dread and mayhem, and this is going to suck. To my complete and utter horror, Oust says, I jump in the chest. What? At that point, my brain is freaking out because this means that Oust technically is dead, is gone, and out of the game, and it's day one in the castle. So quickly, I have to think, what am I going to do? So he jumps in the box, and I describe, you fall approximately 10 feet into utter and complete darkness. This is a perfect example of your PCs will constantly screw up every plan that you had, and no matter how much time and effort you put into your game and imagining how things are going to go, it won't go that way. So just as soon as this has happened, one of my other friends, her name is Christina, who plays Callista, who is a tiefling sorcerer, walks over to the chest and she says, I jump in the chest. So now I have 2 players on day 1 in the castle gone. Now remember, I told my friends how awesome this game was going to be and how fun it was going to be, and on day 1, 2 of them have completely disappeared. Now on the outside, the rest of the players are yelling into the box at the top of their lungs to see if anybody hears them. Of course, they do not. The 2 people in the complete blackness are also yelling, but they can't be heard either. So finally, the sorcerer of the group decides he's going to cast, and bear with me because I can never pronounce this right, thaumaturgy. I know I'm going to get slaughtered for that because I know that I pronounced it incorrectly, but here it is, and here's how you spell it. So what this does, in case you don't know, is it actually increases your voice to a booming 3 times louder than it normally is. Once he does that and yells into the chest, it still sounds like a tiny little whisper to those guys trapped in the sphere of annihilation. But it's enough for them to hear it. Basically, he says, we're throwing a rope in, feel around for it, tug on it when you get a hold of it. After several attempts, they do find the rope, and the group pulls them to safety. Yay! So anything that came out of that box was invisible, so what am I going to do? The only thing I could think of, and it came to me pretty quickly, was Back to the Future. Do you remember in Back to the Future, in the photograph that Marty McFly had of himself, his brother, and his sister, if you noticed, throughout the movie, they kept slowly disappearing from the picture. So what I thought was, well, let's just do it in reverse. Finally, after a few rounds, they were partially visible, and after a few more rounds, they were even more visible, to the point that they were back to their normal status. So that's how Back to the Future saved my Ravenloft campaign that day. So I hope you enjoyed that story. Stay tuned, we'll have plenty of more stories from the Curse of Strahd. And I just want to say one more thing to all you PCs out there. Thank you very much for keeping us DMs on our toes. And stop doing things that will kill you. Or don't. We like killing you too.
Hey guys, so I've been stalking O'Brien for a couple of weeks now. I figured out where he works, and I'm pretty sure that I know what his work schedule is now as far as when he takes break. But I haven't seen him for a while. I DM'd a game for him and his family, his wife and his daughter and his son, and I may have killed them all. we'll see if we can get him to comment. Yeah, that's him right there. Hey, buddy. How's it going?
What are you doing here?
You're not still sore about me killing your whole family, are you? When we were playing that game. Just wanted to talk to you about when you jumped in that chest that time.
I told you I don't want to talk about that.
Well, just real quick. I just wanted to ask you real quick. Why are you getting in the trunk there? Hey, I was just gonna talk to you about. Hey, just wondering why you jumped in the trunk like you just did again. Oh, dropped your keys. What? What? So, yeah, that's pretty much what happened in the game too. Weird. Bye, guys.